Back for Dust Dust's ongoing coverage of DreamHack Atlanta. I'm here with Levoski as part of our Save NACS interview series. So, Levoski, I want to ask you, how has DreamHack Atlanta been treating you so far?
Yeah, so far DreamHack has been a pretty fantastic experience. It's our first time having a booth here, so I've enjoyed my time. Everything's been taken care of, from a marketing standpoint. So yeah, we've had a good time.
And as a small org, what's your sort of goal of having a booth here? Like, what's the purpose of putting yourself out to the community here in Atlanta?
Yeah, so the purpose of it is actually because there aren't very many esports organizations here in Atlanta, Georgia. Most of the organizations that you're going to see are in California, Texas, or in Canada. And I feel like Atlanta absolutely deserves an esports organization that's growing and marketing towards like the local scene, and trying to build a fan base in the community specifically for supporting and cheering on competitive games. So yeah.
And we've always seen you as someone who's a passionate supporter of the NA scene and someone who's been very active promoting your organization on Twitter, but I don't think we know much about you as the individual. How did you get your start in esports?
Yeah, I actually got my start volunteering initially at SiegeCon, which eventually, merged its operations into DreamHack Atlanta. So I was operating with that. I was also a game development student at the time, so that's how I kind of got acclimated into the gaming scene. I actually have had a couple of roles, working with a couple of development studios, and then after a while, I just wanted to own my own esports organization, so I ended up starting that up in 2020.
And what many people might actually not know, and you kind of caught yourself there in a second, is this isn't the first detonate that's ever existed. In fact, there was an original detonate back in 2015. And honestly, I think a lot of even your current fans would be surprised to know that. So what was the story with the original detonate?
So the story with that one actually was we were kind of a ragtag group of friends, just kind of like running an organization just because we felt like it. I mean, we didn't know much about esports at the time, so our focus was just about getting into the scene, getting our feet wet, and just learning about it as we go. So in 2016, I think we had a Counter Strike team. Yeah, it was Mad Cow, KS, and a couple of other players. But we did have a pretty good run there. We ended up beating the Echo Fox team with Freakazoid and all of those guys. So yeah, we definitely did have a pretty good time in the first run of Detonate. Yeah.
And so then the original detonate goes dormant around 2016. And what prompted you to sort of bring it back in this new fashion in 2020?
I actually had a bit of a hiatus in competitive video games for a bit of time. I was just a fan and an enthusiast. I was hanging around the Atlanta Rain events and going to the watch parties there. My friends kind of encouraged me to get back into it and get back on the horse and start it up again. So 2020 comes around, COVID's happening. It's kind of like the heart of it. I figured, let me go ahead and get started with this while everything is kind of, dying down and focused more on just trying to build the brand and make it a little bit cleaner this time. So I changed the mascot logo more to like a cleaner logo with like the D logo that you see normally. That was kind of like the whole purpose of it. It's just like I wanted to make it a little bit cleaner and more about the business this time. Yeah.
And now, as far as I'm aware, Detonate is largely, a one-man operation, and I think a lot of people don't really know what happens behind the curtain at these sort of smaller NA organizations. What's a day in the life for you, like as the owner of Detonate?
Yeah, for the normal days, I wake up and I just, hop on my computer, try to email as many people as I can, coordinate with my co-owner. I actually do have a co-owner that lives out in Texas, but obviously he doesn't get to get his feet wet or his boots on the ground, like really with most of the operations and the day-to-day. So I've just been bullish and focused on building the community and the competitive aspect for the operations here. And I wanted it to be right in my backyard. I've lived in Atlanta my entire life, so I wanted to focus it there.
And Detonate sort of seemingly made a conscious decision to focus on Counter Strike, especially, you had some other squads earlier, but now it's all Counter Strike all the time. Why did you make that decision? As far as I'm aware, you're not originally a Counter Strike person, so what happened there?
Yeah, I actually have a background in the FGC. I originally wanted to get into Counter Strike because personally I loved the community. I loved NACS. I liked watching it. I was actually mostly just an enthusiast and I enjoyed watching the game. Only recently started actually playing every now and again. But yeah, I was just an enthusiast at the time. And then once I got a little bit more acclimated with the scene and a little bit more comfortable, I kind of fell in love with everybody's passion for the game. So I just kind of, try to support that to the best of my ability.
And you do actually have one other role under your cap recently. You were recently became the coach and so, to some degrees the esports director at Morris Brown University, which is a historically black university. Can I tell you how you came into that role?
Yes, I actually have a friend named Brian Johnson. He's the owner of Community Media. They run the HBCU Esports League. He actually hit me up and told me that there was a position open at Morris Brown College because the president of Morris Brown was looking for somebody to spearhead that operation. And so he got me on the phone. I got an interview, and he seemed to like me. I seemed to like them, and we just kind of hit it off straight away. And then I got hired for the position in October. So I've been working with them now. We're looking to compete in the HBCU Esports League for spring, and just kind of build towards a successful program.
And with that, I feel like CS kind of has a little bit of a dirty secret. We see in, for example, the fighting game community, we have a lot of African American competitors, African American fans, a whole slew of people from a diverse number of backgrounds. But here in the CS scene, there's sort of a lack of representation, and especially from even in the collegiate scene from historically black universities, and even more broadly, just from African American competitors. Do you think there's some kind of reason for that? And is joining, Morris Brown sort of your effort to help, expand the inclusiveness of CS:GO esports?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, Counter Strike is largely, a PC game, which most African American families don't really have the budget or the ability to build a complicated PC that's going to be able to run it appropriately and play the game. So, and honestly, there's some students that don't even know about PC gaming in general. I actually myself didn't learn about PC gaming until I was about 19 and had already gone to college. So I think it's just a lack of awareness, but also a lack of accessibility when it comes to the typical Black American family home. Most of the time, your parents are going to tell you they can't afford to get you that PC, but they can't afford to get you the PS5 or the Xbox or something of that nature. So they end up playing Call of Duty because that's what that's what they have access to. So I guess it's just an accessibility thing. And I mean, I hope I can, encourage, more Black African American students, especially student athletes, to, pursue a career in Counter Strike, if it's, something that they actually want to pursue.
And with that, what is the sort of university's plans for next year in the esports field? What teams do they field, and sort of what's their main goals for next year?
Yeah, right now we're just kind of really we're really trying to get our bearings and whatever is available. So the HBCU Esports League doesn't have very many games that they have competing. So whatever they have available is what we're kind of trying and field a team for. And then once we field those teams and we actually have the availability to compete, then we're going to build around that. So we're just kind of focused on uh, capitalizing on the opportunities that are presented before us for right now.
And of course, we can't forget about Detonate, the org that you have on your shirt and your hat. What is the org's plans for 2024? Right now, I know you have a team in ESEA Advanced, but what's the future look like for Detonate?
So right now, the future looks like we're going to focus on localization, just because I feel like a lot of esports organizations, especially once they hit that international stage, they kind of forget about like the local scene. So I'm trying to really get more events and more watch parties and more things of that nature, and so I can get more people to come out, have food, have drinks, network, and meet one another, and be able to watch the games in an environment. There's places like Battle and Brew and lounges that'll allow you to run events like that. So I'm looking forward to doing more things of that nature.
And now, last question before I let you go for your incredibly generous gift of your time to me. I wanted to ask you, what has been your greatest triumph in your esports career as the sort of owner of Detonate? What's the one moment that you would tell someone on the street is like why you do what you do?
I have a couple of moments. It's kind of like a tie between, getting the opportunity to field a team last minute for Team USA. I really enjoyed that experience, just because it allowed players who otherwise wouldn't have that opportunity, and for us to like really try and do our best to support them in their goals and in their ventures. So it got us to get a team to fly over to a place that they otherwise wouldn't get to go to and get training and development that they might not have had otherwise. But also, I do like the old team Detonate from 2016 when we actually did get to defeat Echo Fox. I liked that Rick Fox kind of came into the space in the time and was throwing money around, got into it kind of willy-nilly with a team that he didn't really know that much about. And I mean, in like a CEVO Open qualifier, our team ends up coming out on top of them. So I like having both of those accolades under our belt. But in general, I just, I enjoy supporting those teams, and I enjoy doing what I do, like just for those accolades in particular and those achievements.
So I think it definitely sounds like Detonate's in a good position heading into 2024, and I'm hoping that 2024 will be an opportunity for you to make more moments that you'll remember forever with your organization. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see Detonate next year after Christmas.
Thank you.